Sometimes you get a curveball that you just haven't seen before. Stick around and we'll get right to it. So what we have today is a cautionary tale about digital modes and USB cables and laptops and radios and all the fun things that go along with that. Now, I'm being a little over dramatic with the thumbnail. This didn't actually ruin field day, but it created enough havoc that it was possible that it could have if we'd have been relying solely on this system for the duration of field day. And in the end, it was simply the USB cable that created all of these issues. But let me back up to the beginning and kind of walk you guys through what I was seeing. So I had a buddy of mine that told me he wanted to get his Linux laptop up and running with a few different digital modes. And I told him to bring his stuff to field day and we would try to make that happen. So he had a ICOM 7300. He had I believe it was a Dell laptop. And he had all of the assorted cables that you would need to get everything up and running. So we sat down, I connected everything, and the first thing you do when you're trying to get these digital modes up and running is you want to get FLRig established. So I got FLRig connected to the radio, and rig control was good, but as soon as I went to test the PTT button, the radio locked up into transmit mode. And I've seen this happen, I can't tell you, probably 1,000 different times. And 999 times out of 100, it is RFI getting back into your radio that's creating this issue. And you're especially prone to this when you're in the field working with less than ideal antennas, and you're in close proximity to the antenna. So I didn't think much about it. We scrounged around, found a couple of ferrite beads, snapped them onto the USB cable, and rebooted everything, kind of went after it again. Except, well, we got the exact same problem. It was locking up as soon as we hit the PTT button in FLRig to test this. I'm kind of scratching my head, but we managed to round up a few more ferrite beads. So I think we were up to 4 or 5 at this point on the cable. Now, one thing about the cable, it was 3 feet long, which is longer than I typically prefer my cables. The shorter you can keep them, the less chance you've got for RFI getting into the system. But even after adding all of these ferrite beads, well, we still had the same exact issue. Well, Tony had a toroid there. So we took this 240 toroid and wound the USB cable through it, I don't know, 4 or 5 times. We've still got the ferrite beads on it, and we're still having the exact same issue. Well, now I am really confused because I've never put that many ferrite beads on a cable and not been able to squelch any RFI getting into the system, even when it's an HT running at 5 or 10 watts and sitting literally on top of the cable. Usually 4 or 5 of them will do the trick. So I'm sitting there kind of scratching my head, and I happen to unplug the USB cable. I can't remember what I was going to do at that point, but I unplugged it and happened to notice something. The noise on the radio dropped from like S6, S7 down to S1, S2. That's kind of weird. Plugged it back up, noise comes right back up. Unplug it, noise drops right back down. Now I'm really scratching my head. Is the laptop itself producing this RFI? That sure is what it seemed like. Well, we decided at this point we should swap out the computer for another one and see if this problem persisted. Now the one we swapped to happened to be, bird egg on the ground. The one we swapped to happened to be the old Jenkopotamus, the Evolve laptop that everybody loved 3 or 4 years ago, that at that time you could pick up for about 60 bucks. And as cheap and crappy as that laptop is, I've never seen it produce any RFI when you connect it to a radio. So we swapped it out for the Jenkopotamus, As soon as I plugged the cable into it, I watched the noise start climbing. Now we're at a real head scratcher because it's not the laptop producing RFI. It's not the radio producing RFI. That leaves only one thing: the USB cable itself. So fortunately, Tony also had a replacement cable, USB cable, that we swapped out. And guess what? All of the issues went away. When we plugged up that cable, there was no noise increase on the radio itself. We go back to the original laptop, we reconfigure FL rig, get up to the point of PTT, and no issues whatsoever. This cable only had 2 ferrite beads on it, and it was probably a 3 or 4 foot long cable. So literally, the USB cable was the problem all along. And in all of my days running digital, I'd never run into this specific issue. I've run into better cables and worse cables, but I've never seen one that I'm guessing was just completely unshielded and allowed all of that noise coming from the computer to pass right into the radio. But I wanted to tell you this cautionary tale because sometimes it's not what you're expecting, and you never can really know until you get out into the field and test. This cable, if you'd have put it at home and been using it in a home setup with a good antenna, you might not have ever noticed anything other than the noise climbing on the radio itself. But as soon as you got it into the field, man, it was a train wreck. So if you're having trouble with your digital setup and you're getting RFI into the system and you just can't get it to quit, maybe it's time to try another USB cable and see if that'll do the trick. All right, that's all I got for you today. I appreciate you tuning in. If you found the information helpful, leave us a thumbs up before you head off, and we will see you guys on the next one. Until then, 7-3. Squirrel, literally a squirrel.